Welcome to the Shutter Saga Podcast. I'm your host, Marvin Blue. Join me each week as we dive into amazing conversations with some of our industry's top leaders. We will talk about photography, business, and most of all, share the stories that have laid the foundation to our journey in this world we call photography. A couple of ways to support the show is to like, subscribe, and share the show with others. Leave those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you're a fan of seeing us live, we are on YouTube. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Again, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome welcome all to another amazing episode of the Shutter Saga Podcast. I'm your host. I'm gonna preface this next episode and just say, listen, okay, if you walk away and your nipples end up hard and you need a cigarette after this episode, there's a good reason. Reason being is because I guess this week is none other than the remarkable, just amazing Pam Fields. And if you don't know who Pam Fields, if you don't know who Pam Fields is, she hails to us from Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City. Oh yeah, you got my tongue tied already, girl. We're just getting started. But no, she comes to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you're under a rock and you know nothing about photography, there's a genre I like to call that's called erotic, and she is the queen of erotic photography. Yes, so this episode might get a little sexy, might get a little inappropriate, might get a little dangerous for some people, but you know what? It's totally worth it. So Pam, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Just a little inappropriate. So mildly
I'm just going to lead with it because, I'm just coming off the ban list. So like, what better way to come off the ban list than to get banned again with your next episode?
Right. Boom.
It's like, oh, you think this is inappropriate content? Wait till you see the next guest. That's why I'm doing it. So
I'm leaving my clothes on. That is in my contract. So
me too. Yes, absolutely. I said, I know one of us, the ruler shows somebody always has to be topless or bottomless. And, you notice I've never stood on any of my episodes.
I'm kidding. That.
I'm kidding. But no, Pam, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So, I gave you the introduction to erotic photography. Let's just jump right into it. What is the difference between erotic and boudoir? Because I know I've had quite a few boudoir photographers on here, but we haven't crossed that threshold of erotic. So please, for those who don't know, explain it.
Yeah. Well, everyone kind of has their own definition of what erotica is. And for me, I identify as erotic art photographer. And I also shoot boudoir. Most of my clients are erotica. And what that means is the difference between boudoir and erotica for me is in boudoir, underwear stays on, and erotica, underwear can come off. And erotica is definitely more sexual in nature. So sometimes there's art nudes, but art nudes don't have a sexual element to them. So I do shoot a lot of clients, a lot of couples in some very explicit sexual kind of images.
But the truth of the matter is, it's very artistic though, because like I said, anyone that's seen your work, we've all seen your work, and we are like huge fans. Because again, you make the human body look artistic, even in the most sexual, and it was designed to be sexual in nature, is artistic because we envision these images on like these huge billboards and just, again, it's art news that evoke emotion. So it's right. Another level. And and you know that.
Thank you.
So what pushed you into this field?
Well, I started just as general photographer 2014, 2014, trying to figure out my niche and what I love shooting. And it all was about the light and shadows for me. And I loved it. I was shooting a lot of fashion-y kind of portraits. And from that, it led into replicating imitation is the highest form of flattery, they say. So there was a picture by famous photographer Peter Lindbergh it was a man in jeans. He was a matador, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't know the history of the picture. But man in jeans without a top on, the light was just beautiful. It was a black and white image. It was washed over his body. The shadows were just, it captured me. And that was the very first picture. And I think it was 2015 that I popped my lights up in the studio and I got a male model and said, "Hey, will you ask your wife if you can take your shirt off? I'll ask my husband at the time if you could take your shirt off." And so I fell in love with the human body, and I fell in love with how to light the human body. So that was the beginning of my journey back in 2015 with doing that one shoot. with him.
Nice,
And then
nice.
since then, I've attended a couple of workshops, the art of nude storytelling, and that was very transformative for me to really hear another educator speak on their philosophy and how they go about shooting, and the prep work that they do with their models or clients. And then I also did, the same day I did another workshop on it's a photographer's guide to shooting kink, which was very enlightening, and I loved it. And so even in the boudoir space, a lot of boudoir photographers are starting to incorporate more and more kink elements, 50 shades kind of things,
Hmm.
blindfolds and spreader bars and all that fun stuff, riding crops and all of that.
Nice, nice. So, you know, going into that, what did you early on? Did you feel like there was any like risk taken involved with it, or like did you have to like to be able to, I guess, for like a better term, break that comfort zone? What'd you do early in your career to break that comfort zone and kind of like, because you don't just wake up one day and shoot the way you, and take images the way you do. Like, let's be honest, like it takes, you have to develop that. So like early on, how did you, in that 10-year journey, how did you grow from, you know, taking a picture of a shirtless man to now creating these artistic nude pieces that, you know, you're known for?
I had to do a lot of soul searching with myself and understanding my values and my beliefs and my boundaries, understanding where how my personality developed and where all of that came from, and started realizing that so many of the views I had were put on me by society and put on me by, whether it's church, family, friends, whoever. And so I started just exploring, do I really believe this? Do I feel this? There's so much shame that gets put on people in America, especially with when it comes to nudity and sexuality, and sex. And so I just started exploring that. And my very first paying client was a man, and he was French. And so and he was 40 and celebrating his birthday and wanted to memorialize where he was at. And that was when the light bulb really went off for me that I could actually make money doing what I was loving doing.
Okay. And I did get, you know, I did put the word out to a few people that you were going to be on the show. So I did get asked a lot of questions, like ask her this, ask her that. But I'm going to throw some softball ones before we get the hard
Okay.
hitting
Oh
questions.
no.
So
All
when
right.
you first started, what was the camera that you grabbed to take, you know, to get started with?
My
And
very
what do you
first
shoot with now?
my very first camera was a crop sensor. It was a Nikon D7100. I actually did not have that camera very long and ended up with a D800, that I bought secondhand and loved that camera. Now I'm shooting with a Z9, and
Okay.
and it's fabulous. I love it.
Nice. And then the, to tag along with that, what's your favorite lens to use when shooting, erotica?
Well, when shooting erotica, I would have to say I shoot with the 24 to 70. Originally I was a prime shooter, and I loved, and still love my 85. But being that I do work in hotel rooms and even my studio space, an 85, I just have to get, you just need to have the right space available to use a prime lens. And if you're wanting to switch out lenses, it interrupts the flow of a session so much. So I don't use the 85 as much and stick with the 24 to 70.
Okay,
And
nice.
it
So
takes crisp, beautiful pictures. So I'm very happy with it.
nice, nice. And then this one, yeah, it's not necessarily a softball, but it was asked, what is your favorite body type or body object or type? I don't know what they mean. What do you like to shoot the most of?
What, the body part?
Yes, body part. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I do have a shirt. I don't have it on. It got ruined in the washing machine, but I'm going to get another one that says, I take better dick pics than you. So I do. I enjoy taking. Did you blush? Is that right?
I did. You
Uh,
know what? You'll never know.
I enjoy taking images of all body parts and all shapes and sizes of bodies. That's one of the things that I love about the clients I work with. I get clients, most of my clients are 45 to 65. Sometimes I get clients in their 30s. I just had a session with a couple in their 30s. But I get people of all ages and body shapes and sizes, and just being able to explore with them that they may be on the larger side, but they're beautiful. And so, and then someone else may be like rail thin and they're beautiful. I just want to show people that the size of your body isn't what makes you beautiful.
Nice,
So
nice.
I'm able to use the light and the shadows to sculpt everything and show people, and they get really excited seeing the back of the camera. I show them throughout the shoot, which is quite interesting sometimes with a couple when they're doing things, and I'm like, hey, y'all, look at this real quick. Pause for a moment, take a look at that picture.
Nice. So this was kind of a quote that I thought was perfect for this episode. It was is in through our nakedness we are most vulnerable, but through our most vulnerability we're able to find our most strength. Or I'm misquoting it, so I should have wrote it down before it, but let me try again. It was through our nakedness we are our most vulnerable, and through our vulnerability we're able to find new strength. How do you incorporate strength through the vulnerability of being naked?
Oh yeah, I love that quote. I'm gonna have to look it up and probably add it to my website. So thanks. But I mean, I do have clients all the time that come in, and that is the biggest thing for them is to shed their inhibitions, shed their clothes, and get vulnerable with me. And it does. It's very transformative for people's lives to step into that space. Most of my clients, this is a first experience. And so they are really vulnerable with me, and it shows. It does change their lives. They have a reawakening to themselves oftentimes, and they're that's what led them to me anyway, is they're in their late 40s, 50s, early 60s, looking at, oh shit, life is passing me by, let me live life, and let me and be myself and love myself. And so they get on this journey with me, and many of my clients, I stay connected with them, and we message back and forth and talk, and they book with me multiple times. So it's it's I become a part of their journey. And
Nice.
for many of them, they are rediscovering themselves and finding a place of strength that they never knew that they had and discovered. I mean, I know what it's like to be on the other side of the camera, because it's real scary. So
Definitely, yeah. I mean, yeah, and like, switching gears, you as the instructor, when you're teaching this to other photographers, even when you're just doing something as simple as teaching boudoir, whether it's erotica, kink, whatever, what's your favorite part about the education piece of it?
one of my favorite things is I love working with established boudoir photographers that have just a really um, a mindset of where they don't really know, they're not comfortable working with couples or comfortable working with men, and everything that they've done has been based on the traditional women's boudoir. And so I love it whenever I see someone's brain just starting to explode or melt or whatever, whenever I'm teaching them about posing. And especially whenever I have someone that has a flow of poses that they do with every single client, to show them how those kind of poses can be incorporated with a male client, and then they can also be incorporated with couples as well.
Nice,
So
nice.
that's one of my favorite things, because I also I don't pose the way that a lot of a lot of photographers pose their clients. I don't come in with a shot list. I don't plan it ahead of time. I mean, I do some planning, but I don't scour the internet looking at poses. Um,
So when you're posing client, do you have like a certain vision that you like, you see them, you see what they're wearing, you see kind of what the mood is, do you base on all the incorporate all those ideas? How do you build? Because like to me, I feel like when I look at your stuff, you built to that one image of like, again, going back to it, I see like a lot of your, like I've had the pleasure of seeing some of your stuff on in art galleries in Las Vegas. So how do you get from them walking through your doors to making and creating that art piece? What's that process like?
Well, ahead of time, I do a questionnaire with my clients. So I already know the direction our session is going to go, as far as how many art nudes they want, if they want to focus on that, if they want kink elements built into their session or not. So I already know those things. They know what body parts they want, and what positions they want to have images of, whether it's, actual or implied. But I come at it from a place of, I work very intuitively, and I like to individualize everything for my clients. Everyone is unique. Everyone's situation is their own, and their story is their own. So I get in there and I really start observing their body language and just how they move and sit naturally. And that's what I build my posing on, is their natural body language, and knowing that, I mean, there's three starting points. You're either standing up, sitting down, or laying down. So, obviously with the work I do, I start with standing up. So, and then we go from there.
Nice, nice. And then you mentioned earlier, it was a French 40-year-old that, that kind of the shirt off and everything. What's been one of your favorite images that you've captured, on your journey so far? What's the one that like sticks out, says this was the one that, that got you to the dance, or that keeps you there, like, you know?
Oh, I have a lot of favorite images. I would say one of my most favorite is one that was in the Dirty Show, and it's with the client, is from their very first session with me, and they've had 4 sessions with me, um, at this time, and so and they'll have another, I'm sure. They're a great couple. They've been together for a really long time, and but it was a beautiful picture, kind of backlit, bodyscape, and it was an oral picture. So it was beautiful. I don't know if you've seen that one or not. I'll have to show it to you later. But that one was one. And then recently, more recent than that, I had a client that I've worked with before come to town, and we just set out on an adventure and went out to the dry lake bed, and went out hiking some out in the mountains around Vegas, and we did some art nudes. That one of those, in fact, I had it printed on fine art paper. It's absolutely beautiful, with him laying on a one of the rocks and just posed, and the shadow is perfect. Google would not let me put it on my Google My Business, even though there was no nudity and it was not sexual at all. I mean, he was naked, but the way where the shadow from his leg was going across his torso, and so you couldn't see anything. But that's one of my favorite images.
Nice, nice. I mean, again, I think, just the visual that I have of it, you explained it all perfectly. So, switching gears a little bit more and everything. Now, how long have you been in the education space now with teaching?
I am in my third year
Okay.
in photography. Now, before I left the workforce in 2006, but so before that, for about 10 years, I was pretty heavily involved in a large international organization, and spoke on stages with them, and spoke in classrooms and settings, and with at a national international level, and then at an agency level, I would lead in-service training and workshops with them, and that was in the social services
Okay.
space. So I've always loved being a educator and helping other people kind of get to the level that I've been able to. I've never been one to kind of hold back secrets, or tactics that have worked for me. And just because something works for me doesn't mean it'll work for everyone. But I like to help people along in their journey.
Nice. I love the no gatekeeping policy you have.
No, too many of those already. I don't need. I just like to unlock that door and let anyone in who wants to come and join the journey.
Nice, nice. So let me ask you, the state of the industry, we're talking about photography as a whole, we talk about our different genres and everything. Obviously things have changed since 2020. Directions are going now, or the pathways now going to different directions. Where do you see boudoir, erotica, kink, all that. Where do you see that direction for that genre going
Um,
moving forward, especially like with all like the social media elements now in place, and they make things so much, accessibility to information is a lot higher, and now you see the difference between what I call the amateurs versus the pros, and like there's a clear cut line. There's not even a blurred line anymore. It is literally night and day difference between what you do versus somebody that grabs their phone or grabs a camera and thinks they know what you're doing. It's like,
right.
as your shirt said, your dick pic is way better than yours, or
Right,
yeah.
right. Um, uh, I mean, the state of the industry is very interesting, because there's a big push in our country right now with regards to anything in a sexual element. And so with all the age verification laws that are going into place, and I support age verification to some degree. It's complicated, and there's a lot out there. When it comes to advertising, it's difficult for boudoir photographers to get ads run. And so that's one of the challenging things about the work that we do, is getting our work in front of people and getting, having, just like I said, even that art nude piece, I couldn't even put it on my Google My Business. So, it takes some creativity to try to get our information out.
So, what do you think? And I guess from in a marketing standpoint, what is your workaround? Nowadays to really put out? Because, like I said, for me, I found out about you because I'm in the photography world, and like I said, and only the hardcores knew about you. Like when I first heard your name, they go, "Oh, she's a boudoir photographer," and they go, "Nah, she's different." And then when you start researching, you're like, "Oh, damn, what she does is way different." It
It
goes,
is
it's
way
like
different.
it's almost like a genre within its genre itself, a boudoir. So instead of like
It
labeling
is.
you, you're under the boudoir umbrella, but then your umbrella is even smaller. So to 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 know you is to be amazed as to see the amazingness as an artist, but to not, but then when you see it from the outside looking in, not knowing who you are, not knowing what it is doing, they just say, oh, okay, that's the human body. But it's like, again, you know how is it, what's been your work around to put your name out there and to put your work out there, as far as letting people see what it is you do? Because like I said, what you're doing is art versus just the standard dick pic.
Right, right. And I've had to and still have some work to do on my website. I mean, I like a lot of people, I'm a solopreneur and do everything myself.
Mhm.
I'm getting ready to hire my first virtual assistant, which will help. They're not going to be doing anything I'm currently doing, but they're going to be doing the task that I just keep pushing from one day to the next. And so those are the, it'll be nice to have someone else on board to help with that. But um I spend a lot of time with figuring out how to do SEO for my website. That's the only way my clients find me, is through my website. And I tell people, you know, that you need to make your website a place where that's the very first point of contact for your clients often. And you want them to get to know you there. And so I tell people that if you put on your about me page that I'm a photographer, I love photography is my life, live and breathe photography, blah blah blah, photography, blah blah blah, that isn't really sharing of yourself. And so how they're going to know you like photography, but they're not going to really connect with you. So that's one of the things. And I've had a lot of different clients tell me that my website resonated with them. The blogs that I write resonate with them. My about me section, just telling people who I really am and part of my story, and then just sharing my beliefs and values, because people want to do business with people that have similar beliefs and values. So it's kind of hard to know that just by, I mean, there are some people out there that are looking for just a good photographer and they don't really care about anything else about them. But in I think as you get more and more vulnerable with your photographer, then it's important to, that clients are wanting to make sure they're connecting with someone on a personal level.
Nice. And speaking of connections, so who was it early on that inspired you, and then like who's the ones that are inspiring you today?
You know, um, I mean, Robert Mapplethorpe is like an icon in this space, and it's to say there's so many amazing talented photographers out there in this space. I would say another photographer's work that I just love, and I love her style. We're very similar in our shooting styles. But it's Jen Fox she's an incredibly talented erotica photographer, and she sticks with more erotic art, and from what I see on her website and from talking with her, her work is more erotic art and less in the kink and fetish world. And so not that I mean, I love shooting kink and fetish work, but that's just not my client base. That's not really who I'm working with. And so I really love the other photographers that are doing just, more erotic art.
Okay, and then correct me from Jen Fox. Is she based out of Arizona?
No, Jen Fox is based
Okay.
in, I think she's based in Virginia. I know she
Okay,
was
then
down in,
I was thinking of someone else then. That's why
yeah,
I was like,
you're probably
why does that
thinking
name
Jen
sound
Anderson.
Yeah, okay. I was
And
like the name familiar. I was like, it could be the person I'm thinking about, but yeah, okay.
yeah.
Awesome. So what's been, you're mentioning people that are in the rock space. So what's kept you motivated in all these years, and what's like pushing you forward now as we break into like these new as now erotica is becoming more accepting? What's pushing your motivation now?
Well, what's pushing my motivation now is one is just continue on my own path of self-discovery and just, personal development for myself, but also realizing that, I'm helping people, I'm serving other people, and I'm helping people on their journey, no matter where they are. I have people kind of at different phases in life, and some people are reawakening to themselves, and some in that big kind of beginning stage of that, and then others are, they're on the other side of already kind of reawakening to life and what's important. And so that's a big motivation for me. And knowing, I love working with my married couples. Over half my clients are married. And so that's a big part of the work that I do. Just talking with the couple I had last week, this was their first trip without their children, and we, before we started shooting, we talked about life and children, and I really congratulated them and reinforced for them that keep doing what they're doing. Keep booking me every year for another shoot, but keep doing what they're doing, because it's really important as people build their career, people raise their children. you know, they wake up 20 years down the road and don't know who they're living with anymore. They don't even know themselves, because they've poured everything into career, or everything into children, or both, and they lose themselves. And so knowing that I'm helping people come out of that, or helping people not get to that, is really uh, a big motivator for me. The other big motivator for me is during my pretty nasty, almost 3-year divorce process, my son told me, "Don't worry about being trying to earn money, because he's not planning on having kids, so he would he would help support me." And I said, "That is so sweet, but that's also horrific." So I would I so that's a big motivation for me too, is like I said, I had left the workforce in 2006 and never dreamed I would be divorced, but it happened. And I've been, super motivated to build my brand and grow what I've got. I've got a lot of ideas coming out in the next year, and then I've got a 5-year plan, and I'm gonna blow it up. So
Nice.
and then my son won't have to ever support me.
Yep. Now then your son's gonna walk through Vegas, see these big art pieces, go, "Yep, mom did it. That's mom.
Right,
That's
right.
mom." We like to play a game called "That's Mom's Picture."
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So, kind of not necessarily switching gears, but so with the legion of photographers that do follow you and everything, and whether it's on the boudoir side or the erotica side, whatever, what advice do you have for those that are like breaking into it? Like I said, for like my introduction to boudoir was a happy accident. I had a bride that wanted to do the naughty book, And when she first asked me about it, I didn't know what she was talking about. But of course, me being me, said, "Oh yeah, of course I could do that." And then
Sure,
as
I
soon as she
do.
hung up the phone with me, I was like, "What the hell's a naughty book?" And then like, "Oh, it's bridal boudoir." It's like, "What's bridal boudoir?" They're like, it's basically chicks taking naked pictures for the husband. I was like, "Oh shit, what did I just get
What
myself
did I
into?"
agree to?
So then I had to call a friend up and say, "Hey, so yeah, she's gonna help out or whatever." And what I had her do majority of the shooting, I kind of played like I knew what I was doing. And then after that, I was like, "Okay." She was like, "Yeah, you're gonna make a lot of money off of this." And it's like, again, I was, this is a few years ago, so it's like, okay, well, all right, let's see if this thing has legs on it. And then, without it really catching, or without me putting it out there, just kind of word of mouth, it was like, oh, I was getting about 20-30% of my brides were saying, hey, I want to do boudoir. I want to do boudoir session. And, I want to do bridal boudoir, or I have a friend that's doing a bridal boudoir, or my bridesmaid did one. Do you do that? And then before you know it, it kind of grew legs of its own, to where it's very much, that's where it got me into it. But like, when I see other people, they say, well, how'd you get in boudoir? I said, mine was a happy accident. If it's something you want to do, I say find those that are doing it and just pick their brain. But it's, so if someone was picking your brain, what advice do you have for them getting started?
My advice to someone who's wanting to get into boudoir with men or couples, or just traditional boudoir, or if they're wanting to move into erotic art, is to know themselves. That's
Okay.
the very first thing. Is you really need to explore your boundaries. We can do real psychological harm to other people. And that's never something I want to do in a shoot with a client. And I want to teach other photographers to be very aware about our own biases and projecting that onto our clients. And whether it's body image, there was a situation I ran a Facebook group for helping other photographers learn about marketing for boudoir and erotica, and we talk about techniques and everything. But in that group there was a conversation. Someone put up a boudoir picture and asked about how to talk to the client about her belly. And so we had a big conversation about that, because there's a lot of prep work ahead of time that you should be doing with your clients. And you know I one person in the group said, well, it's a photographer's job to fix what's wrong with the picture. And my comment to that was, well, who are you to be the one to judge that her belly is wrong? um, because that's her projecting her own views, because no one she had not, the client had not expressed that she had a concern with her belly. And I'm like, look, as someone who has a belly, I know I have a belly, and I know if I lay a certain way, my belly's going to flop over flop over some. And so if I don't want a photographer telling me to hide that with a pillow or pull up a sheet over it. If I have a problem with it, I'll say. And now if someone else has a problem with it, now here's one of the keys to life. Once you get to a point where you don't really care what anybody else thinks about you, then that's very liberating. And that gives you a space where you can love your body, flaws and all, whether it's a squishy belly or saggy boobs, or, whatever your problems are. So the things we don't love about ourselves, we actually can learn to love.
Nice. I like where that's going. I mean, there's so many like different layers to that, because like I said, I've been fortunate to take some of your posing classes and then just incorporate that even with to my brides that are fully dressed, because it's still universal. The techniques itself is universal. So like but I really want to go back into the artistry behind it, when especially when someone sees your work for the first time and they go, again, they look at it and they go, this is levels to where I'm at. How do you bridge that gap? Because again, what you do doesn't come overnight. It doesn't get created overnight. There's got to, to create that type of vision, to see the artistry behind the naked body. How do
Yeah.
you create that? And how do you find that creative space to bring that to life, so to speak?
It really does come down to being an observer of other people. And it comes down to developing your own intuition and knowing how to interact with people to get them to a level. If you look at what few Google reviews I have, I think the key word in all of it is comfort. comfortable, comfort. And it does. That's that's something I'm trying to figure out how to teach other people about how you get clients comfortable and how you build that rapport with people to have them in a space where they truly can express themselves. And then you develop your own eye to see, to capture that piece that's going to become a work of art.
Nice. And how did you create the lines between, I guess, what some would call smut versus what we call art? Like, how do you know, because it's like I said, there's that, oh, the Playboy penthouse hustler, that dirty little secret, and then there's the, we need to put this on a wall for people to see. Oh no, you're fine. As we need to put this on the wall for people to see and admire it. So like, how do you keep that line divided?
For me, part of me, for me, really, a lot of it comes down to the posing as well as the style of lighting. You know, just to me, the shadows and the kind of the dark and moody lighting creates an artistic element that you just don't get in a flat lit image, or a bright, light and airy kind of image. And when it comes to posing, I have had someone say, "Oh yeah, you should, to get the erotic, to learn erotic posing, look at issues of Playboy and Hustler and Penthouse." And I'm like, I don't know. That, to me, those are, a lot of those are more glamour, that and the swimsuit issue of what is it, Sports Illustrated, Maxim. A lot of those are more along the lines of glamour. And I guess there's some in in more in the Playboy space and that environment. But it's funny looking at some of the older Playboys. A lot of those were very boudoir-ish images of what you see in current day boudoir.
Nice,
But
nice.
yeah.
So let me ask you, because somebody did send this question, say, hey, ask her what is what is her version of the boudoir starter kit, or the erotica starter kit, as far as like what camera you need to have, what kind of lens, you know how they always make those jokes, if you have, like when they say
What gear do you need?
the dadographer starter kit, or the I'm a mom with a camera starter kit. Like, so what do you and in a joking satirical way, what is your starter kit for I'm a boudoir photographer?
Well, the starter kit would be whatever camera you have, whatever
Okay.
light you have. When it comes to my clients, they don't know the difference between one brand or another brand. I mean, for me, the reason I chose Nikon was the very first photographer my daughter shot with in a studio. That's what he shot. And so I was like, well, it's good enough for that fashion photographer guy. So Nikon will be good enough for me. So,
Nice.
but yeah, I would say, get you a kit, get a decent camera and a better lens. So the lens makes a big difference. And I never understood that. People are like, oh, get good glass, but now I do understand the importance of it after shooting a little bit with some shitty glass.
Oh no, trust me, that 50 millimeter, that was my workhorse when I first started. Like,
Oh yeah. And then,
not
for photographers, get skilled in shooting in a lot of different lighting environments. Learn to use strobe. Learn to use available light.
do you
I did
prefer constant or strobes
I actually
when you're working?
preferred strobes, and
Okay.
so but the strobe I use has a very powerful modeling light, so it could work as a constant light as well. So
Okay.
and I
And
leave it
spill
on
the
during
beans.
the shoot, so it's not as distracting to my clients in a dark room if the flash is going.
Oh yeah.
So
So spill the beans. What's your lighting gear, or your lighting setup that you typically use?
So I typically use the Godox 8400. That's the
Okay.
modeling light that I have fallen in love with, and I use in the hotels that I shoot in or traveling. I usually take a Godox strip box that's beat to hell and back. It's got duct tape on it right now. I have another one, but I just there's a that one has character, so I just leave. I just leave it. But it's, it's got the rods. I don't love it because, and I want to get one that will fit in my big Samsonite suitcase, the biggest one I can find, because I'm already like a Sherpa. You know how it is carrying all your gear. So I don't my if I'm in my studio space at home, I'll shoot. I'll shoot with that 8400, and I'll use a big octabox, gridded
Okay.
octabox. It's my favorite, but I do love that strip box. And I also have a big one of those big Paul Buff umbrellas, the parabolic umbrella that they do, and that's a great tool to use. I love it. I'm like a lot of photographers. I went through a period of having the gear acquisition syndrome gas. And so I've got a lot of stuff that I don't use and need to get rid of. And so that's I really encourage people, especially ones that are just starting out, to just get a couple of tools, learn to use those, get really, really good at using the tools that you have, and and don't keep that constant stream of buying the latest, greatest.
Nice. Great. And that's great advice. I wholeheartedly subscribe to that. Just use what you have, become a master of that, and then build off of that versus because buying one piece of equipment isn't going to be like the difference maker. It's mastering what you have is going to be the difference maker, in my opinion.
Well,
Um,
and I tell photographers, when I'm teaching, I ask them a question. I'm like, if you could only choose one, which would you choose? Would you rather be a wonderful, amazing, fantastic photographer, or would you rather make money from your photography if you're trying to run a business? And of course, the people who are, wanting to run a business or wanting to quit their full-time job, then they do say that they want to learn to run a business. They want to make money from photography. And the key is, once you are making money from photography, then that you can use that to free up your time, then get back to your true love, which is my true love. I mean, in my heart, I want to keep taking workshops, and I do now, but keep taking workshops, listen to other photographers. I learn something every time I go watch another photographer teach. And so, I can pour back into my love of photography and get better with editing and get better with, with posing, and just something you can study forever.
nice.
But
So
first, you need to study marketing if you want to make money. If you want to make money with it, you gotta know how to get your stuff out there.
definitely. So what are the what's next for Pam? I know you got a lot of stuff coming down the horizon. Anything that you can share or?
Well, I will have a big announcement later in May, and so I do have a Facebook group people can join. That's the erotic and hang on, I gotta look the name of it up. Erotic, erotic and boudoir photographers network, I think is the name of it. You
I
can
have a
get
nickname that's Pam's group.
Pam's group. I should just change it to that.
Pam's group.
Let's see, erotic and boudoir photographers education. I should
Yep.
change it to network, but education, I wanted to have that in there because we do talk a lot about helping people along in their journey as a photographer, and getting to understand themselves and understand the business side of things. But I will be making an announcement later in that group. This summer, I'm coming out with. I've had a lot of people ask about the questionnaire that I use for erotica, so I'm going to have that available for purchase on my website. I've got to finish it out because I'm doing a supplement to it that is more for married couples, and it's something they don't have to send back to me, but it just helps them explore more about their relationship and everything. I'm going to this fall. If not this fall, it'll happen right after the first of the year, but I'll be starting a certification program to become a certified sex educator, which I will continue using that along in my business. And then I'll have a couple of workshops that will be announcing probably in they'll be late October, early November. However, I just did a mentoring session, a one-on-one mentoring session. So I'm always open to developing a workshop, putting together a workshop if I have enough people that message me and are interested in doing something, at a time that I don't have planned, I will always plan something for people.
Nice, nice. And again, you're in the perfect setting because, like I said, I've personally been able to create some magic in Las Vegas. Like, just it's something about that city, and it doesn't matter what I'm shooting, whether it is boudoir, whether I'm doing engagement shoots. I've done elopement weddings out there. I've done senior sessions on the Strip. I did my daughter's senior session. So it's something about that city that just it creatively just brings the best out of me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, and I'm hoping my next workshop it'll be cool enough to do some stuff out at the dry lake bed. So
Yeah, it's like dry lake beds go to the one that, and I said, dude, if we end this session with or if we end this work, little mini workshop, we just popped up this pop up workshop that we did. If it ends with us going in jail, this makes for the ultimate Vegas story because we were at the Neon Museum, but
oh
you can,
yeah,
you know how they restrict you where you can't carry lights and everything. So we were
right.
like we were MacGyvering like everything. Like I'm literally having like my mini strobe. I told everybody, dude, just
Oh,
strip down your 8200s or your FJ200s, strip them down and like make it look like it's a lens or whatever. And
ah,
just I said no rolling backpacks. We just got to do messenger bags and small backpacks, like take the one camera, one lens type thing. And we were literally like just throwing triggers and lights to each other and just doing these things before they realized we're taking like professional great
wow,
pictures.
yeah.
It was like, and I go, dude, we're gonna so go to jail over this.
You-
But it's like then when we started putting out some of the pictures, people were like, dude, how'd you pull it off at Neon? And because they're so
yeah,
strict
I've
there.
never even
And
tried
I think
that.
the thing about it is it's like no one was there. So it's like, what are we
Right,
being strict about? And, obviously, we're not going to do nothing crazy when there's, women and children, especially
right,
young children or whatever. But I mean,
right.
like we were the only ones there. And it was like, we had to have the model dressed like a normal person. She literally had on a sweatsuit. And it's Vegas. I'm like, they got to know something's up because she's wearing a sweatsuit that we could tear off real fast,
Oh, right.
So she tears off. We threw wings on her and she's standing in front of the old neon
That's
sign.
so. Oh my
And
God, that's
we did it, and then
awesome.
we had to cover up, hide the wings. We're like trying to hide stuff and everything. And I was like,
Oh,
dude,
that's funny that you had
we're gonna.
wings there too.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had the wings packed down, and as soon as they pulled up, we just pull them. You just see them flop everywhere. It was insane, but it was like totally. It just made for a great story. But you
one of
know,
my stipulations with my boundaries is that I won't shoot anything that will land us in jail or the hospital. Yeah,
well, see,
and I
they let
say,
you
well,
take pictures, but then they were like, okay, wait, are y'all taking pictures or y'all taking pictures? Like, what are y'all doing? And we're like, we're taking pictures. We're here for WPPI. And they're like, oh, if
oh,
y'all
you
photographers,
can't
then yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Now,
where somebody messed up. They go, "We're here for a photography conference." Like, dude, they know we're photographers
oh
now.
yeah,
Like, if we look like civilians, then we would have been just paying $25. We would have got
that's
to do.
right.
They would have thought it was selfies in front of the museum things. No, once we put out our cameras, and they were like, and I was telling everybody, strip down the battery grips because if your camera looks like it's a pro camera, they're gonna know you're a
Oh
pro.
yeah,
Like, you have to look
for
as
real.
basic as possible. Like I literally I was using the Fuji X100. I think I had the version 3 or whatever. So it's the 35mm fixed lens. So it looks like a tourist camera.
Oh
Like
yeah.
so I was using
Well,
that one when I went in with
yeah.
that. And I had I had the mini strobe like in my back pocket. It looked like just a little flashlight or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to use this, and I'm holding it and trying to light it and everything. So it was again, it was fun times and stuff.
Look at
And
you, rule breaker.
I always say, like, when when you're young and getting started in this industry, the early days were the fun days because that's when you were breaking the rules and taking the risk.
Right.
And then you get established, you build a name for yourself. You're like, oh man, I can't have any more fun, like
Right. Well, I
no
do
more
tell
setting
my
stuff on
clients
fire.
if we right, no setting off smoke bombs in a hotel, and
Nope.
I do tell my clients though that jail is different than a ticket.
Mhm.
So a
Very much.
ticket. So if we get a ticket, my client has to pay for it. So I'm not opposed to. We with one client, we drove around out in the desert. Some random, have no idea where it was, and I was like, "There's some Joshua trees that look really good. Let's run out. There's no cars around, so let's run out there. But if we get a ticket, you got to pay for it." So
Nice.
because they wouldn't take us to jail over trespassing.
Yeah, and for me, the same thing. It's like I'll take a ticket over to like the whole thing at the Neon Museum. We knew like if the worst that could happen is we get a ticket. They're not going to take us to jail, but it was
I
just
don't
like
even know that you would
again,
get a ticket. I mean,
yeah,
I don't
they probably
know.
just kicked
They
us out,
would
and say you need to
trespass
leave.
you. They would. They
No,
would just. kick you out
Well,
and say
no,
you
we
could never
technically
come back.
paid our admission. So they technically, we were there legally. We don't. It's not like we hopped the gate and did this photo shoot.
Right.
We bought our tickets. We just didn't tell them we were photographers doing a pro shoot, or I guess quote unquote pro shoot. But we were just practicing. We figured
Right.
everyone was going to use. I said, let's do something different because everybody was going to be on the strip. Everybody was going to be at the hotel. Let's go somewhere where no one else is going to go. And
Right.
somebody said,
And
let's go to Neon Museum, and that's what we did, and it was
that's
totally worth it.
awesome.
And I definitely plan on going there again next year. I'm going to take a couple seniors there next year and, pay the money this time and do it right. Cause obviously, times is different and, we're not young and reckless and breaking the rules like we used to back in the day.
Oh, really?
No, some rules will break, but it's funny. The dry lake bed. I remember, I want to say it was 2018. We did a shoot there and we saw like 3 caravans and we realized they were like the van lifers. They were just, so they pull up and they're like far away from us and we know they're watching us do this photo shoot in the middle of the desert. And I look over and go, are those dudes barbecuing? And I was like, dude, we should screw, let's so we drive by them like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, what's up? And like, so they're like, and then they gave us a tour of their van. I'm like, this is cool. We got to see van people that lived out of their vans and stuff. And it was just like such a nomadic tribe or whatever. And they were just like, hey, if you guys want, the sun was setting. It was like, oh, turns his van around, cuts the high beams on. Now we got like this like night desert shot with high beams. I was like, oh, thanks for the lights.
Awesome.
And we just kept, one was like, I'm making tacos. You guys want tacos? We're like, sure. And we're like, just give them some money, buy some more so they can buy more groceries and stuff. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Again, and probably dangerous.
No, yeah, I know. I had a client out at the dry lake bed doing some art nudes, and people drove by on like ATVs and saw what we were doing, and they were like, "What the hell?"
No, it's like we seen one where we were doing some stuff out there, and they see us, they go, "Hey, you guys want if you want, we can do pill outs and kick up a bunch of dirt and make it look really cool in the background." We're like, "Yes, let's do that." So we're sitting there taking this, and this girl's like, "Cool, whatever." And we're doing this, and these guys are just peeling out behind her, and you see all this dirt kicking up, and it was just awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, that's the one thing. That's the one thing about going out there is the cleaning your camera afterwards.
Yeah. That's why I do it during the workshop, because the day after that shoot, I send it straight to Canon to get clean.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, Pam, thank you so much. I mean, you've been awesome. Thank you for giving me
Thank you, Marvin.
time today. And, I know we got a lot of stuff down the horizon. I know you got a lot of teaching and everything. So I'm going to plug all your stuff in the show notes. But where can everybody find you on Instagram and, what platform are you on?
At Pam Fields Photo is my handle. And then, pamfieldsphotography.com. And then the Erotica and Boudoir Photographers Education on Facebook. And then on my website, I have a page that's for photographers. And there's some resources there. There'll be some more stuff coming out, that I'll have some free guides and things for people to download. And then, there's some information there about a few of my sponsors. Aftershoot is one, Lead Savage, Fundy, and so those guys, there's links to their websites, that some of the products that I use. And UAF is the lab that I work with. So, there's information there about them. And then that's where I'll post, post information about upcoming workshops, and I'll share that in my group and post it there and wherever else I can. So
awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much again for your time. And like I said, I can't wait to, get to work with you again. I can't wait to get another workshop together and, again, just create art, man.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's get something going in Vegas.
For sure.
Or destination. So that is on my agenda for 2025, is getting a destination retreat going. So I've got to sort that out, but that's something I definitely want to do.
Definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of great places to shoot at. Alex said, I'm in Texas right now, and, it's a playground for me. I get to go everywhere and create this stuff. And I have the opportunities to create some magic out here. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Awesome.
So, all right, Marvin, thanks
for
having me.
Thanks. All right. You're welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
All right. Bye.
That's it for this week's show. Again, thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with others. Leave those reviews and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until then, see you next week.